Hello guys, welcome to Ball in Your Court. Ball in Your Court. This is me, your host Abhinav, and today it's a very special episode. We're not talking about what is happening on the field as of today. There's the Women's World Cup happening. India and Sri Lanka are facing off each other. There's Pakistan and Australia playing Test match in Pakistan after almost 20 odd years. But today is dedicated to nothing but Sachin. We're talking about one of the greatest innings and memories of a 90s kid from in their cricketing life. We're talking about the Desert Storm innings. And to recap that, we've got three people who probably will be able to shed more light on the Desert Storm and more of 90s cricket than anybody around. We've got our very own Bhushan Deshmukh, the encyclopedia of all 90s cricket. We've got the cricket quizzing powerhouse duo of Saahil Sharma and Kartik, who goes by the name of Elite Cynic. So welcome, gentlemen. It's a honor to have you folks on board.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, Abhinav. Thank you, Abhinav.
Thank you, Abhinav.
Thank you, Abhinav sir.
Let's start with one. We cannot start off this episode without paying tribute to one of the pivotal actors of our days in watching cricket in the 90s, Shane Warne. Unfortunately, the most tragic of events happened a few days back with his untimely demise at the young age of just 52. But I think one of the pivotal actors of this entire episode of the Desert Storm and of our cricket watching experience of the 90s and even beyond into the mid 2000s. Sahil, I'll come to you. Your feelings about how Shane Warne, about what Shane Warne meant to you.
Yeah. Shane Warne, if one word, I think magician. I think loved watching him bowl, even though like I was a teen, like growing up, I started watching cricket around 93. And I mean, obviously as an Indian fan, like you always wanted India to do well. But I mean, there were two guys, I would say that I was mesmerized with. One was Wasim Akram and the other was Shane Warne. And I think I have great memories of watching Shane Warne getting up in the morning, watching the tests in Australia, the Tri Series. I would just say I think it has been like said so many times that he basically like revolutionized leg spin bowling. And just one more thing that I would like to add is like I said this when he passed away as well, that there have been a lot of cricketers like in their specific art, like a batsman, like a right hand bowler, right arm fast bowler, left arm fast bowler, and you can count on like you can say that every era has a very good right arm bowler or a left arm fast bowler or right hand batsman, left hand batsman. But when it comes to like leg spin, I think there is only one Shane Warne. I didn't watch Richie Beno and Abdul Kadir; they were before my time. Probably B.S. Chandrasekhar as well, but uh, I think uh, I am not going to see another Shane Warne in my lifetime. Like, I mean, there are no guarantees in life, but at least the kind of personality he was, uh, the kind of variations he had, and the kind of bowler he was, I think we are not going to see another Shane Warne.
Ah, beautifully said, Sahil. I'll come to you, Bhushan bhai. Your feelings about Shane Warne, because I think every one of us has a Shane Warne memory, especially those of us who grew up in the 90s watching cricket and watching cricket in Australia. I think there is a Shane Warne memory that we all treasure and cherish. So, what are your feelings about?
Yes, yes. Thank you, Abhinav bhai. Actually, I had heard Shinwar's first name first time for the in the year 1992 in when India toured Australia. Actually, he looked like ordinary bowler, but the way he made a comeback in that Ashes tour and that delivery to Mike Getting means that was just an outstanding memory which those who watched that delivery live, those who were watching cricket, they knew how magic delivery that was. And since that day everyone had feeling that this man is really a magician. He can do anything with the ball. He can turn the ball anywhere. He can ball any type of delivery on any kind of wicket to any kind of batsman. And since then, before that era, before Warren made his debut, everyone wanted to be Sachin, everyone wanted to be Wakar Yunus, but no one wanted to be a spinner. But after Warren's debut and watching his deliveries, everyone wanted to be a spinner. Whenever the word came in mind, spin bowling, Shane Warne was the next bowler which came in our mind. And
Yes.
even if Sachin has blasted him most of the times, we had a terror that this man can get Sachin anytime out.
True.
And he had done it in the first game, I think exactly on the same day, 6th March 1998, when Sachin and Shane Warne had met for the first time in
Yes.
Test cricket in India. In
Yes. Yes.
India,
Yes.
Shane Warne had dismissed Sachin in the
Yes.
very first over.
Yes.
Yes.
Sachin hit first ball four, but Shane Warne was so clever bowler that he knew what he had to do and what
True.
he can do, and he
True.
did exactly same thing. He bowled his special delivery and got Sachin out in slip. And
True.
Sachin was deceived by Warren so easily. What came after that was history, but the way Warren dismissed Sachin in that very first over was just a legendary gesture. So Warren was a legend. He is a legend, and he will always remain as a legend.
True. True.
Thanks,
Uh,
Abhinavai.
Karthik, I'll come to you. Even on the space that day, you poignantly paid a fitting tribute to Shane Warne. Your feelings about this, about the legend from Melbourne.
Yeah. So first of all, thanks for having me. Yeah, Sahil and Bhushan Bhai both spoke beautifully about what Vaughn meant to all of us. Obviously, it's a shock that he is no longer there with us, but he was obviously a part of our lives. Shane Warne was like larger than life. There are so many cliches about Warne, which are all true, of course, but they're often repeated, like larger than life. Revived a dying art, magician with the ball, Mr. Hollywood, etc., etc. All that is absolutely true. But beyond all that, I thought Shane Warne was a very, very intelligent bowler. He was. He had a lot of brains. He himself has told in interviews that God gave me a gift of leg spin bowling, but it's not just that I just turned up and bowled leg spin. I worked my backside off, and I tried very hard. And he was a very, very good and very beautiful. He used to think beautifully to outsmart a batsman. It was very evident he was not very good in his. I mean, it was his bad luck that his debut coincided with India, but he was not too good in that, even till his fourth test, when he suddenly got those 3 wickets in the second innings at Colombo. He
Yes.
was not having a great record, but he did work really hard. Came up with the flipper, that flipper to Richie Richardson at MCG, that I think was the turning point, if I may recall. And then he took 7 wickets odd, and then it was all won. And um, you know, uh, I'll give you an example. Rick Finlay, who's the stats man of ABC, he recently
Yes.
tweeted that you know. Shane Warne was a subscriber to his stats,
Mhm.
and he didn't even need to explain the thing in detail to Shane Warne. He automatically understood how this works and what combinations to use and all. And he was surprised that Shane Warne, who doesn't have a technical background, is actually able to use it without asking too many questions. That actually emphasized the fact that Warne was so intelligent. He was a very he was a deeply thinking bowler. When I spoke about this on a space, somebody told me that that's obvious, right? Because he used to be a poker player. He used to do a triple eight poker, and he was like very good at that. You're not very good at poker unless you're not very good, with thinking. So he was a very intelligent bowler. There are so many spells, so many uh, you know dismissals that we always talk about ball of the century, etc., etc. Two instances I want to pick up is, obviously, the first one is what Bhushan Bhai said about Chennai. He tempted Sachin to drive the second ball, and he got caught, and it was advantage one Sachin zero. I remember very clearly that in the second innings, Sachin was plumb LBW to one, which was not given a benefit of doubt, probably. There's a video of that as well. I think had that been out, the story of one in India may have been slightly different, but as fate would have it, it entirely changed. But India doesn't define his legacy. His
True.
legacy is obviously much, much richer. The second instance that I want to point out is the Basit Ali dismissal. That actually proves the genius of one. Basically, he made Basit Ali wait. He made him wait. Basit Ali was getting frustrated, and eventually he bowled that ball which went through his legs, and that was like beautiful. I mean, he later on, I think they asked him, "What did you discuss with Healy?" And he said, "Nothing. We were just having a chat about what are we gonna do tonight or whatever." They weren't discussing any tactics or anything. So yeah, I mean, there won't be any other Shane Warne, that's for sure.
True.
As Sahil Bhai said, there won't be any other Shane Warne. So yeah, everything else has been said about him. Every spell of his, how he actually was a very nice guy, and yeah, the other two things that I said was the greatest captain Australia never had, greatest Test captain Australia never had, and
True.
his uh, his non-belief in war and Buchanan's military style regime, that
True.
he disproved it at Rajasthan Royals.
True, absolutely. I think beautiful tribute. Personal memory for me. I mean, as a 13-year-old kid in Gurgaon, when I used to go for cricket coaching, I told my then coach that I bowled leg spin, and the inspiration was Shane Warne. And yeah, I mean, I think we all of us at some point in our life we tried to emulate Shane Warne bowling, sticking that tongue out, sticking it tongue out, and bowling, replicating that action. None of us, I think, could ever come close to it. Once or twice, I managed to get that ball, that delivery, that kind of replicate the Gatting delivery from pitching outside leg, and somehow managing. I mean, I think by luck, just managing to hit the top of middle or off. But yes, I mean, there was only one Shane Warne, and there will only be just one Shane Warne. There can't be. I mean, you'll never have somebody like him ever walk this earth ever again. So yes, I mean, a tribute to one of the finest ever spinners to have played the game. The probably the finest ever leg spinner to grace the game without by a country mile. But let's move on to to discussing more happier things. So we are obviously talking about the Desert Storm innings of Sharjah '98 by Sachin Tendulkar. So I'll come to you, Bhushan Bhai. Your first recollections about the Desert Storm.
Thanks, Abhinav bhai. Uh, Actually, let me tell you one thing. Those who were watching that era cricket closely, especially from 1996, no one was surprised after that Sachin's Desert Storm inning, because the way he was playing right from the start of the inning, it looked like Sachin was determined, and whatever let come, may it be a desert storm or a tsunami, Sachin is going to take India into final. And I can recall just after the finish of the game, uh, Gavaskar sir said, uh, means he was comparing Aussies and Sachin rivalry like a Sholay movie. he was saying Australian team is Jay and Viru, and Sachin would not allow them to succeed in their plan. And he said, Australian, wait, Gabbar is coming. Gabbar is there in final, and what happened in final is everyone knows. But let me tell you one thing: uh, Sachin was coming in every way in Australia's way.
Yes.
Either it was as a bowler, either it was as a fielder, either
Yeah.
it was as a batsman. And let me tell you, right from 1990 first game, year 1998, let's talk about ODIs. Kochi ODI. Sachin was man
Yes.
of the match with ball.
5
Yes.
for 30.
5 for
Kanpur
32.
ODI. Sachin was
100.
man of the match with ball. Sorry, bat. Seven
The
sixes he hit. Then third game at Delhi, Firozshah, I think final it was. Sachin was failed, India lost. Then
Yeah.
Sharjah first game. Sachin was playing very well, and the way he was playing, the target looked very easy, 264. But he fell, India lost the game, but still Sachin was man of the match.
Right.
Then
yes.
came Desert Storm knock. Sachin played as usual. India lost, middle order collapse as usual, like a typical 90s collapse. But still, Sachin was man of the match. In
Yes.
final, Sachin was also man of the match. Even in Dhaka, Sachin was man of the match. Means in 7 games, say out of 7 games, in 6 games, Sachin was man of the match. Means whatever Australians were doing, they were not able to skip Sachin out of the game.
True.
Either it was fielding, batting, or bowling. Sachin was everywhere, and the way Sachin finished the year 1997 in frustration, he was quite relaxed after that giving up captaincy, and the way he was playing in the year 1998, it never looked so surprising that Sachin played such a great knock, because the way he was playing right from the first ball, Sachin was looking in murderous mood. The way he hit two consecutive sixes to Kastrovic in sixth over,
Right.
uh, the first thought came in my mind that he is going to do anything today and take India home. And Aussies wanted everything to happen. They just didn't want to play with India in final,
True.
Right.
because they knew if we play with India in final, we are going to lose this game, and only because of Sachin, they
True.
had that one fear in their mind that कुछ भी करो यार, लेकिन ये फाइनल में इंडिया के साथ मत जाओ, इंडिया को फाइनल में मत खेलने दो. And the way they did everything to stop Sachin, but Sachin was in some another mood, and the way he played right from the first ball till the finish of the game, means you can see in the videos also that everyone was lying on the field because of that desert storm, but Sachin was standing like a what we call it, rock of Gibraltar. Sachin
True.
was standing like a rock, and he didn't lie at all. He not even sit on the ground. He just kept his eyes open and just wait, like someone is very eager to let come and play the game. I just want to finish it. Sachin was standing in like that mood, and
So,
the way he played after that desert storm inning, Aussies were suffered from that inning rather than that desert storm.
correct.
Imagine Sachin added one 104 runs in 84 balls with Lakshman, and Lakshman's contribution was only 23. Sorry,
20.
19 runs. His
20.
contribution, he added 4 runs after Sachin got out. 19 runs in 104 partnership.
Right.
So you can imagine how Sachin batted after that desert storm, and how and why he was waiting for that desert storm to go and finish quickly, because he was very eager as to start the game and play immediately, as he was looking in some dangerous mood. And
True.
final, everyone knows what happened in final. The same thing Aussies didn't want to happen, but Sachin had to make it happen because he desperately wanted to finish that depressions in the what happened in the year 1997. As everyone knows, year 1997 was famous for losing the winning games,
Right.
and Sachin was doing his everything best, but the way team was losing, that was very frustrating. Like Bridgetown Test, then Durban final, West Indies ODI series, all three games in Sri Lanka ODI series. Sachin was doing very well, but he was not getting support from the seniors, and that frustration was looking on his face, in his body language. But after giving up his captaincy in the beginning of year 1998, the way he came back, he changed all equations in the year 1998. I can recall Anwar was ahead of Sachin in number of ODIs and hundreds, but after year 1998, Sachin changed all equations.
Right. I think Anwar was
So
at 8, right? In the 1996 World Cup, Anwar had 8 and Sachin had less. And then,
yes, yes.
yeah.
But
Uh,
year 1998 was a milestone year, and Sachin, it was very. I feel one thing, sorry, that Sachin didn't play all games in year 1998. If he had played all the games, he would have definitely completed 2,000 runs in that calendar year. But that's a part of the game. You can't make him play in every game. But those who watched that year 1998, clearly they were not surprised at all with that knock of 143 that had to come in any way. Either it was desert storm or tsunami. Sachin had to play that knock and knock out Australians out of that trophy and won it for India. And I can recall right after that inning, everyone started searching to compare with Don Bradman.
Yes.
In fact, Sir Don Bradman had watched Sachin in 1996 World Cup, and after that he had told his wife that this boy plays like me.
Right.
But people started noticing that thing after those two knocks, and after that, Sir Don Bradman invited him in Sydney to visit, to meet him. So that was the impact of those two knocks. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Abhinav bhai.
I think Abhinav bhai left us. Oh, he's back.
He's back.
Yeah, I think he's getting back.
yeah. Please continue.
Yeah.
Yes, Abhinav sir, I have finished.
Okay, so I think Bhushan, you've given us an extempore, and it's a beautiful extempore you've given us to start off this beautiful discussion. So I'll come to you, Kartik. When we talk about Desert Storm, what is the first memory that you have? That one abiding memory of the Desert Storm that you that's not left you for the last 24 years.
One abiding memory would be it's high, what a six commentary by Tony. Great. I can never forget that. The guy was that was marriage made in heaven. Sachin Tendulkar and Tony Gregg's commentary. Lot of memories though about Desert Storm. First thing is the juxtaposition of that tournament, right? This thing was
Yes,
called Coca-Cola Cup, and in India, the tri series that just finished was Pepsi Cup.
Pepsi Cup.
Yeah, India won all the league games in the Pepsi Cup and lost the finals, and Australia won all the league games in the Coca-Cola Cup and lost the finals. So it was like a beautiful jugalbandi. Uh, Okay, so but the interesting part comes here. Australia were not paid any money for the Pepsi Cup finals. they were like really upset about it. The prize money was not there, and India got a lot of money for winning the Coca-Cola Cup. In fact, after Desert Storm, immediately Sachin won like 20,000 British pounds for a game that was not even a final. I think that upset the Aussies slightly because there was a like Sachin had a great windfall in that. The other thing about Desert Storm is the score.
Yes.
You would have noticed that there have been, I don't know if you remember, but Sachin, when he got out, the score you
Yeah.
showed it as that it was 144. Then there was a correction that it was 142. Then
Yes.
eventually we got to 143. So there are
143.
three scores associated to Sachin: 142, 143, 144. I'll tell you the reason for it. The reason for it was at 138. Actually, someone told me, a very good friend of mine told me recently. I had forgotten about it. At 138, he had hit a four, or which was originally a six. So it
Yes.
was even a six, and then it was a four, and then they came in the middle. So neither 142 nor 144. So 143 was the score that he finally ended up with. Um, but the Bhushan Bhai has told most of the stories, most of the things. Like one, a few anecdotes that I want to tell about that was like Tony Greig obviously saying that this guy is not playing to qualify. This guy is playing to win the
Need to
game,
win.
which was like very very obvious at that time. Still upset with Kanitkar and Lakshman. They just messed up that chase. They could have easily chased it, man. They just shut shop. In fact, I remember Sachin yelling at Lakshman for denying a single, and Lakshman Sachin was furious. And that's not the first time he has yelled at Lakshman. Bangalore 2001, where Sachin was literally creaming McGrath. He doesn't do that often, but that game he was just literally creaming him. He was looking at tremendous touch, and Lakshman ran him out, and he was like super upset with Lakshman. Everyone was upset. So the other thing is that the number 131, Sachin scored 143 in 131 balls in this game, and then in final he scored 134 in 131 balls.
Yes.
So basically it's a happy coincidence that it happened. And Bhushan Bhai, just I'll touch upon that. Bhushan Bhai talked about the lack of support from the seniors. Man, and hindsight, it looks so obvious and so fishy. I can't even tell you. Even in this game, right? Azhar played a stupid shot. I mean, it was not even necessary. Where did that shot come from? Or Jadeja, right? He was the man of the series in the Pepsi Cup. He scored 390 runs without getting dismissed. And over here, he just played an airy fairy shot, man. I mean, it was like, why? And even in the final, if you notice, I don't know if you guys remember Sahil Bhai, Bhushan Bhai, that the field placements from Azhar were all like totally, they were like 80 of a 4 or something, and then he was giving easy singles to Lehman,
Yeah.
and it was like, why is this happening types. At
True.
that time didn't understand, but now there is a lot of speculation after what has transpired over the years. But you could understand Sachin going all out and trying this. um, Another important point about that that innings, my good friend Vijay Armugam actually reminded
Yes.
me. I was talking about it was, do you guys remember Sachin's celebration? He took his bat out and he actually only pointed to the dressing room. He did not point to
Yes.
any of the crowd, basically.
Hmm.
Yeah, because
Yes.
he was upset that the previous year when the Four Nation tournament happened, he was booed. Indian team was booed, and he was upset with the crowd, so he didn't do it. So it was like pretty important. Sachin doesn't show such emotion, but he did. So that's another thing. A lot of other things maybe we can talk more, but these are the some of the things that obviously stay with me about Desert Storm. But Tony Greig, Sachin, the entire tournament was just magic. Not to forget Richie Beno, who
Yes.
was the whose last. He's just commentated at the subcontinent just twice, 96 World Cup and this series, and he was amazed and mind blown by Sachin. I think he couldn't talk much. And there's this though one after a six, right? They show a teddy bear and Richie Van.
Yes,
That
yes.
a very cute looking
Mm,
teddy bear, right?
nice looking teddy bear.
Yeah. But
Really so.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that Worldtel commentary team, Sachin, Sharjah, under lights, magical time. I mean, don't think. I mean, I don't know. I mean, everybody will have, people will have, the new generation will say the same about Hobart and Kohli. It's all about
True.
generational, and I think our generation can never forget Desert Storm. Even
True.
though it was a defeat, nobody believes it was a defeat. It was a celebration of Sachin, basically.
Beautifully put there, Karthik. I'll come to you, Sahil. You've grown up seeing like Bhushan Bhai and Sahil. And Karthik. You've seen Sachin right from the early days. You've grown up with Sachin. How your first memories of the Desert Storm? What still stays with you 24 years down the line?
I can never forget that night, mainly because I watched it with my father, and I remember we were so excited for those Sharjah games. Like it was kind of, we were just used to wait for those games, right? Those
True.
Sharjah day-night games in the 90s, and I clearly remember when the storm happened, and like my mother was calling me, let's go to sleep, and my father generally is not he's not very strict when it comes to cricket, but he said that there's a storm, you should go to sleep. But I was telling him that the match might happen again, so please allow me to watch it. And he was like, he was super excited, he was never going to miss that game, my father. So and he reluctantly, like, I remember it like very vividly, that I went to bed and then I came back, my father called me, it's starting again, and like my father called me back and he said that the game's starting, and I mean, then after that, um, I still get goosebumps when I remember that night, because I remember my father jumping up and down. And I think it's all about, because I was like a 10-year-old guy, I maybe understood a little bit of cricket, but I saw my father jumping on the sofa. And then when Sachin scored the 100, I remember he just went to the screen and he used to just kiss, and he used to, like, when you give a kind of
Oh, oh,
Ashirwad, right? So he
Wow.
used to do that to Sachin.
oh,
And he still says that,
wow.
like, Sachin, like, he says that when he comes on screen, like, it's like you're watching, like, you feel very good, right? Like, as Harsha Bogle said, like, when Sachin bats well, India sleeps well.
Yeah.
So something like that. And he was very emotional about that night, and I could see that I have, like, and I was very much into the game. So my father is not like so much into the stats and all, but he was just enjoying. And I was like, as Karthik mentioned, right? Like, I was more worried about why is India, Kanitkar and Lakshman not going for the game, right?
I
So
know.
my thinking at that point was that, uh, like, we celebrated like crazy what Sachin did, right? But again, when you went back I went back to school, uh, I think next day, I think I was disappointed. I would say that we were just waiting for the final, that what's going to happen.
True,
uh,
true.
and that, even in the final, if I remember, as Karthik mentioned, right, I think we got Bevan so quickly, and you didn't want that pressure of chasing again like a huge score, because we were so dependent on Sachin, right? Even though we had Azhar and Jadeja who were in good form, I think I remember that particular partnership, 275, that they did in the Pepsi Cup, wherein they
Katak.
were three
Yes.
down. Yeah, Katak, when they were three down. So you knew, but I think at that time you didn't know a lot about these things, about match fixing and all, or what is transpiring. But at that point, when I was watching the final, I remember clearly that I was very upset that India allowed them to score again 270, and and somewhere in the back of your mind, you think that it's not going to happen again. And I remember Cricinfo did a piece on, and they spoke to all the people who were involved in that. And I remember Ian Chappell mentioning that Alan Border, who was a caretaking
Coach.
manager,
No, he was a
coach,
coach.
yeah,
Jeff Marsh had gone for some,
yeah,
taken a
but it
break.
was just a temporary thing.
Yeah, he
It
was
was not a
temporary.
permanent injury, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so he mentioned that Alan Border told that he's not going to repeat it. It's not going to happen. So
Oh,
at
wow.
that point, I didn't know that, but now, like, and for Sachin to do that again in that game, in the final, I mean, it's stuff of legends, as rightly, it's like now fondly remembered those two games. But my Desert Storm memory is clearly about watching it with my father, and I wish I could go back in time and watch those games. And if you remember, there was another game in '97 against England, and I come from Bilaya,
Yes,
like I have told it many times. So I was
Rajesh
watching that.
Chauhan.
Yeah, and that game, Sachin scored 91, and he was
Yes,
taking, and it was again, it was one of those knocks where he was taking India single-handedly, and then he got out, and India needed 12 in the last over. Chauhan scored four of the two balls, and then he was bowled by Fleming. So those things were always there in your mind because they were so fresh in your mind that if Sachin goes, what happens, right?
Right.
true.
Uh, Another memory of that knock is I think the way he was hitting down the ground. I don't think I've ever
True.
seen
Yes.
Really.
somebody hit that cleanly, like that
Right.
confidently, coming down the track, hitting anybody like Fleming, Kasparovich, Steve Walk, Tom Moody. Maybe Steve Walk, Tom Moody, not the fastest bowlers, but just the
Right.
confidence that he had that I will hit straight. I think you come, I will just whether coming down the track. I mean, Shane won. One particular memory that I have is that the way Shane won, I think in the final when Sachin hits him a six and he does like this.
Yeah, it's a
It,
fly swat.
yeah,
Yeah.
fly swat, and that
Yeah.
like that tells you that he's shell shocked. Like, what is he? What is this guy doing?
That's his first ball round the wicket, right?
Yes, first ball round the
Yeah.
wicket, right?
And Shastri says he greets him with a six.
Yeah,
Six.
and that's such a
And
beautiful six
Yeah,
over long on.
plus six.
Yeah. So those are some of the memories. Again, final. I think I can go and talk about a lot about the first innings where we got Bevan,
Oh,
and because Bevan scored
100 in
100
desert.
in the Desert Storm innings, and we got Bevan early, and
Yeah.
then again India allowed them. So like I was kind of very pissed off that why did India allow
One
them?
thing we should thank Damian Martin. He dropped the catch
Yeah,
of
in
Sachin
the Desert
and
Storm.
that
Yeah,
storm. Yeah.
and I
Right.
think that's also a very iconic piece of commentary by Tony Gregg at that
Oh
point.
my God.
Yeah, like
Insane. He's like, got it, gone,
got it,
gone.
gone. Oh, it stopped it. I think that's it. Yeah, he's just gone ballistic at that point.
Oh my God.
And
He should
yes,
have.
as Karthik mentioned, right? How can you not talk about Tony Gregg? And I think everybody, like he mentioned, like Kohli will have Hobart, but I don't think Kohli will have a Tony Gregg with him, right? That's I think
true.
maybe unfortunate for Kohli. That's out of his hands. But I think Sachin had Tony Gregg to commentate on that like blistering knock. And
True.
for anybody who wants to talk about Sachin Kohli, I think that's
Kohli,
one to Sachin and zero to Kohli
Kohli
because
has Michael
Absolutely.
Slater. Kohli has Michael Slater at Mohali. You know,
yeah.
but
So
that's he has to make do with it. So
yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
I mean, beautiful memories you've pointed out, Sahil. I think very personal. There's something very personal about the Desert Storm for all of us who grew up. Uh, our parents going up to the TV, kissing it when Sachin was batting, or giving Ashirwad to him, praying for him, almost like he was their own child. Beautiful memories. So now let's go back to the time when the run chase started. So India was going to chase down to had to chase 285 to make it to the final. And we did not know what the calculations were at that stage to get into the final until the storm hit. So when the run chase began, what were your hopes? How What were your hopes like? So, I'll go with you over here, Karthik. I'll start with you.
oh, no, sorry. I raised my hand just to make a small correction. 285 was
Yeah.
the target. 254
Yes.
was the score that we needed to qualify.
Overhaul to
Yeah, and
yes,
then
to the
we
full.
lost four overs in what do you call that Desert Storm. Then
Yes.
276 became the target, and 246 was the qualification score, and the required rate to win was 8 point something, which was like too big at that time. And honestly, you know, uh, didn't have hopes, even though Sachin was there. I was like, as Sahil has tweeted this a long time ago, right? Watching Sachin gave a lot of joy, but it was also a very big tension ka kaam, because watching him play was like really not good for your heart. You used to watch it with a kind of bated breath that array he'll get out, man. I mean, I remember so many heartbreaks, that 1999 Super 6 game or the 2003 World Cup. Every ball would be like dhak 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 dhak. So that again was there in Desert Storm. Yeah, every time he hit a shot, it used to be like your heart used to race and adrenaline used to rush, and eventually you hope that the next ball he doesn't do anything silly. So yeah, I mean, there was, you knew that something special is gonna unravel today, but mm, to be really honest, my only prayer was hope we qualify, because I didn't think in any, that there's no chance that we could win that. But when he started hitting, I thought, hang on a minute, man. I mean, are we winning this? I mean, it could be like one of the most epic wins ever. In hindsight, I think I'm glad we didn't win that, because we could have gotten in the final we could have gotten nicked. I'm glad that the win came in the final. So yeah, that equation, right? It what looked impossible, and as Bhushan Bhai said, 14 overs, 101 runs partnership. It was unheard of. Basically, it was like hitting like crazy. He basically just went ballistic, Sachin. I mean, I think there was this sixth over or something where dot 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 dot, and then Kasparovich, he knew that this guy is trying to bowl short at me, so he trying to what do you call tuck me up. He charges down the track and hits him for a six over mid wicket, and then the next ball again he hits him for a six. And Ian Chappell says that if Kasparovich must be thinking, I'm having a good day today, I've bowled four dot balls, maybe this over will end up with a single or a double. But here Sachin has different plans. He has just hit him. So that actually released. I mean, I think that's what that particular over, Sachin like basically gave his intentions out that this is where I'm gonna go. I think that over was very crucial in the final
True.
contest.
True, true. I'll come to you, Sahil. Your memories when India started the chase of 285. What were your hopes like at that time? How you mentioned your personal experiences of watching this game. So at the run chase, when the run chase started, and when the sandstorm, desert storm hit, uh, what were your feelings like at that stage?
Yeah, so at the start of the innings, I clearly remember that there was a period when Sachin didn't get strike. I don't
Yes.
remember, like Ganguly was like on strike for like forever. I just felt like they just want Ganguly to, and he's like taking the strike at the sixth ball, and we and my father, we were discussing like what's happening. Like there, he's just not giving strike to Sachin, because you knew if you have to chase 284, Sachin was the bowler, was the batsman that will win you that game, okay, or qualify at that point. uh, I mean, I clearly remember shouting at Dada at that time as a kid, please give strike to Sachin. Similar to what happened when he scored that double hundred, like everybody was saying to Dhoni, right? Give it strike. So I remember that clearly,
Oh
that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
India didn't have a very good start. And then Mongia was promoted. Mongia did play some of his shots. I think I don't remember the score exactly, but I think he scored 30 odd in
30
the
odd, yes.
qualifying game.
35 he
Yeah,
got.
35,
35.
right? Yeah. And then, as Karthik mentioned, right, Azhar and Jadeja did their thing. I mean, inexplicable. Like when you're chasing that down, you have to like stay with the with the. I mean, we can say informed batsman, because Sachin, Bhushan Bhai mentioned that first match, I think the 80 odd that he got against Australia, and he was the man of the match. So Sachin was in great touch, even in the Pepsi Cup, the Test matches before. So he was the informed batsman, and you felt like, yes, I mean, it's a cliche that the team was letting him down again. I've already told what happened when the sandstorm happened. Like we were just hoping against hope. But I remember one more game, and this has been like talked about a lot, that Sachin doesn't perform in crucial games. There was this game against Zimbabwe at Benoni, right? India needed to
Yes.
qualify for that
Yes.
Game.
final.
97
What a
tour.
game.
Yeah, and I think people probably don't remember that because it was against Zimbabwe, but Zimbabwe was still a very good
Oh,
side
yeah,
at that
very good.
time. Edo Brandes, Heat Streak, Paul Strang. It was a good bowling
Neil
attack.
Johnson.
Neil Johnson.
Yeah, yeah. I don't remember if Neil Johnson played that game, but yeah, he was part of that 90s era. Yeah. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He didn't. Yeah.
yeah. So, and in that fine, in that game also India needed to qualify. I think they needed to score at 6 per over. In 40 overs,
Yes.
they needed to score 241. And Sachin made us reach the final again. And even in the final, I mean, again, that has been talked a lot about when he got out to Cronier, when he was going great guns.
Painful, man.
Painful, right? So that was there in your mind, right? And then that England innings happened. So you knew that with when Sachin is there, I mean, things can happen and he can turn the game for you. So that was always there. And yes, and he did that. I mean, he did that superbly. I mean, even the staunchest of Sachin fans wouldn't have imagined, because I clearly remember. I think he hit the sixth ball, right? Kartik, you mentioned when he came back after the storm.
Yes, it was the sixth ball, I think.
Sixth
Yeah.
ball when he hit a six to Kasparov,
Kasparov.
and I don't know. He had like
No,
he
no, no, that storm. Oh, you mean to say the
After the
after the
after?
resumption.
sandstorm.
Okay, yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
yeah.
think so.
After, yeah,
Yes,
after
it
the
was the
sandstorm
last
also,
ball
like,
of that
yeah,
over he hit for
last
the
ball of
six.
that over.
As well
Yeah,
of that.
yeah.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
sixth ball. So, and I don't know what used to happen with Sachin. I think he used to take, maybe like he didn't used to show it uh, in his expressions or emotions, but I think if he targeted one bowler like Kasparov, he just targeted him. Then
Man.
Olonga.
I
So
know,
I think
yeah. Actually, Kasparovich abused him a lot in the finals. I think he took some
yeah,
it personally, and I think they
yeah,
went after Sachin. I think, yeah.
yeah. So I think he really, and even the final, we all know, right? It was Fleming's birthday as well,
I know.
and the crowd was booing him like uh, uh, because it was his birthday as well. So yeah, I think just to round up the question, I mean, it looked possible till the moment Sachin was there, as the cliches goes for 90s. That I think I had hope, and it was always that tension, as Karthik mentioned, कि you knew that यार ये out ना हो, ये खेल जाए 50 ओवर तो ये जिता देगा.
Hmm.
That feeling stayed with you.
True,
True.
true. Well said, Sahil. I'll come to you, Bhushan bhai, when you walked us right through this entire innings right at the start. When the run chase started and India had to had to chase down 250, 285 to win the game, or 254 just to make it to the final. What were your memories then? How were you holding yourself up at that time in terms of your hopes for that game, for that run chase?
Uh, Thanks, Abhinav bhai. As I said, Australian never wanted India to play in the final, only for one reason, Sachin Tendulkar. And they did their best to put on the biggest total, and they put on 284 on the board, making sure that India can't chase or can't come closer to that total. And just before the start of the Indian inning, we needed something, as Karthik Bhai told, 254 we needed in 50 overs something to chase to qualify in the final. We needed 254 runs. But as just like first league game, India needed 264, and Sachin was playing his natural game just like in the his first league game, and wicket was falling on the other end. But one change was there: Mongia coming down the one down, and he had that little partnership with Sachin. I think till 100 runs we were okay. We were going at 5 runs per over, but just like a typical 90s Indian batting lineup, after Mongia fell, Azhar came and played that bloody shot, smashing. I'm sorry to use that language, but that was really very irritating shot. L- Tom Moody, such an ordinary bowler, he played smashing cover drive and ball went on the stump. That looked deliberately played shot. Jadeja, after having such a great series in India, what happened? What went wrong with him? Can't understand. And Sachin was, on the other hand, was just standing like, oh, what is this going on? He didn't look bother about what was happening. He just wanted, at least guys, let me play. If you can't play, at least just let me play. And he was like just begging his partners, and he was well supported only by Lakshman and Monkia. Lakshman, I had a doubt on Lakshman because it was his only second game, and in his first ODI he was out on duck
And his
against
last ODI.
Zimbabwe.
And his last
So
ODI.
yes. I had huge doubt on Lakshman's ability, that how he can survive against this strong bowling lineup in such pressurous situation. But even though he scored only 23 runs, his those 23 runs were so precious, that because without those 23 runs, I don't think that was manageable for Sachin to play such a great knock. Because the way wickets were falling on the other hand, and Sachin was standing there like a rock. And after Desert Storm came, target became 237, if I'm not wrong, Kartik bhai, in 237 overs
Yes.
it
Oh,
became
7 target.
237 to
No.
qualify in the final,
Okay.
and 272 for winning in 46 overs.
Okay. My bad.
uh, and Sachin's first target was to qualify India for the final, and he took he I think he flicked the ball and took 2 runs to complete the task, and he raised his bat. Then we all were relaxed. Okay, now it's the toughest job in the world is done, and we are now in the home, and we will be playing in the final.
Yeah.
But Sachin was not finished yet.
Yeah.
Sachin was not finished yet. Sachin, as Kartik Bhai said, that 131 balls, 142, 144, those figures were haunting in our minds. Sachin completed his 100 in 111 balls, and his next 42 runs or 43 runs came in just 20 balls.
Yeah.
You can imagine, field was spread, field was spread, Australian fielding, bowling was so tight, and Sachin was going after the bowlers. I think just before he got out, he played an exclusive cover drive coming down the wicket. I think it just what we call it, which shot we call it, Kartik bhai, just uh,
Inside
side
out.
down shot.
Inside out. Yeah.
Outside out, yes.
Inside out.
Inside out. Yeah.
Inside out, sorry, yes, inside out. So that was one of the greatest shot I have ever seen by Sachin. And the way he was playing, it looked like we are going to win the game also.
Yeah.
But I think it was umpire Javed Akhtar who gave Sachin out.
No, that was
No.
that was finals में जावेद अख्तर के
It was Robinson.
Yeah.
Ian Robinson.
Robinson, yes. I think the ball just flicked his shirt, and Sachin was given out.
No,
But
actually,
if
Sachin really walked. Actually, I don't think he gave out. Right? Sachin walked.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
I think
Sachin started walking,
Yeah.
and if he had not walked, I think we could have won that game also.
Yeah.
But we were, as Sahil Bhai once said in another space chat, that in those era, qualifying for India in the final, if that team wins, if that team lose, then we could qualify for final. If India chase so much runs in so many overs, then we could qualify for the final. And Sahil Bhai mentioned that game, Benoni game had given us faith that Sachin can do this time also.
Right.
Because in Benoni game, Sachin was captain,
Yeah.
and he had huge pressure on his shoulder. And in that game, Azhar again played that same, as I said, bloody shot. He was out to Gavin Rainey, I think. or John Rennie, that
Yeah, John Rennie.
spectacle
I think it
boy,
was John Rennie. Yeah, it
John
was
Rennie,
John Rennie.
yes. And he Azhar was out. Azhar was clean ball against in that game. So Azhar was irritating on that time also, and even in this time, Azhar was irritating. We had that some feeling that no, Sachin has done this earlier, so he is going to do this time also. And in final, but Azhar improved his game, Sahil bhai. Azhar improved his game, and I can recall after finishing his completing his 50, he was rising his bat quite frequently
I
in
know.
his usual mode, because a thought came in my mind. Sachin completed his 100, and Sangeeta Bijlani was there standing
Yeah.
and clapping for
Yeah.
him.
She
I
was.
thought Azhar might have kept that thing in his mind. Oh, Sangeeta is clapping for Sachin. Why not she would be clapping for me?
Oh my
So
God.
let me complete my 50. So, but I must appreciate for that inning, Azhar, because in that inning he played with responsibility,
Yeah.
and that too was a great game. But 143 was epic.
True.
143 was epic, and that was 30th century for Sachin. 30th
14th.
international
14th.
100 for Sachin.
14th. Yeah.
14th.
Uh,
14th.
Yeah.
uh,
The final one was
14th
15th. Yeah.
14th in ODI, and 16 in a test. So that made him complete his
30th.
30th ODI, 30th international 100.
Okay. Okay.
So
30th.
you can imagine, before completing age of 25, that guy completed 30 international centuries, and
Right.
that man of the match was his 25th man of the match in ODI. So 25 man of the match awards before completing age of 25, that was something really genius. And
Then
even in that inning, Sachin became third Indian batsman, I think, after Azhar and Sidhu, to complete 1000 runs in Sharjah,
oh
because scoring in Sharjah was a bit tough one.
yeah.
That was also a good milestone for Sachin. Those were the memories, and that commentary of Tony Craig. Oh, that's six. Oh, that's six. Oh, Sachin is out. Sachin is out. That sounded like a song. That sounded like any
Yeah.
90s music.
Right.
It was just like a song. Oh, Sachin is out. Oh no, that's four. That's four. That's huge. That's huge.
So I'll tell you
So
something. He said they are dancing in the aisles in Sharjah. So for a long time, I used to think it's ISLE island. So it's saying small. It's short for island, isle. Later on, I realized after I started going by flight that there is an aisle seat and a window seat. It's like ILE, AISLE. So a lot of English these guys taught us. I must accept.
True.
But, yeah. I mean, sorry, Bhushan, I cut you. Please go on.
no problem, Kartik bhai. That was memory. Means I think our generation was lucky to witness those two great knocks.
Yeah.
True. Absolutely.
If someone asked me why 90s was so beautiful, yes, Sachin was there. But if someone asked me why year 1998 was so memorable, I would say yes, those two knocks made that year really memorable, and entire decade of 90s.
True.
Yeah.
Beautifully said there, Bhushan bhai. I'll come to the rivalry which defined that year, and I think has defined the careers of these two gentlemen. The Sachin versus Shane Warne rivalry of 1998. Uh, Sahil, I'll come to you. Your recollections about it was being built up with a feverish amount of uh, uh, joy and expectation, this rivalry. So what do you think of this rivalry in that era, and even and now, since with Shane Warne having unfortunately left us?
Mm, so as you mentioned, right, that 98 series was built up as Sachin versus Warren, right? And I remember that I think everybody was just talking about that how are these two going to play against each other? And in the
Yes.
first inning, Sachin got him out. Sorry, Warren got him out, and then in the third innings, I mean, even though I tend to disagree with Karthik, I still think that it was. I mean, the benefit of doubt should go to the batsman, and Sachin was not out
Yeah.
for that decision in the third innings. But overall, I think Sachin just completely made the mockery of Vaughan in that innings, right? Like he was
Yeah.
coming round the wicket, and also in hindsight, I feel that he should have bowled a lot more over the wicket as well. He shouldn't have targeted Sachin on the trying to get him out on the rough.
Yeah.
Because at that point, Sachin Vaughan had a lot of variations. Like he had a very good flipper and a top spinner, and I mean, you never know, he could have surprised Sachin because Sachin was in that mood where he was going after him. He was not going to hold back. He
Right.
like in the 90s. I mean, Sachin between the 96 and 99, you can also argue, and that was held against him that he just used to go for his shots. He never held back.
Right.
So I mean
True.
that is a great rivalry. So one everlasting memory for me is a 2009 IPL game, Rajasthan Royals versus Mumbai Indians, where I think Mumbai were chasing around 140, and Sachin, as captain, he basically sent three youngsters in the top order, and he
True.
wanted to like come as a finisher in that game. Okay, and Vaughan got him out in that innings in 2009. And I still remember that Vaughan had retired by then. Sachin was still playing international cricket, and it was still, I mean, a contest that he wanted to see, right? Sachin and Vaughan, and
True.
Vaughan beat him, and Vaughan got him with a like a stock, like like Sachin tried to play the sweep, and he got LBW. Uh, and I still felt that Vaughan did trouble him because now that the narrative that's been built is that Sachin dominated blasting, and then there is this whole apocryphal story where we say that Vaughan was having nightmares, uh,
Warren said
dreams.
that. Actually, Warren said that, but he was joking about it. But
Yeah,
he,
he was joking about it. Yeah. So, but like the narrative has been built as if like just Sachin dominated him, but I think Sachin even got out to him in when India went to Australia 2000.
yeah,
uh, right, so it wasn't a one-sided rivalry as people make out to be. Yeah, but having said that, definitely Sachin had the upper hand, as McGrath has an upper hand with Sachin in his rivalry. Here I think Sachin did I mean get the measure of Vaughan on many occasions, but overall I mean a riveting rivalry.
True. Bhushan bhai, I'll come to you. Your memories of this of the Sachin Shane Warne rivalry of '98 and what it meant then and and means now in the present day.
Uh, just before 1998, Sachin and Warren had a game at Wankhede. So people were excited. People had already named that game Sachin versus Warren. And
Yes.
I can recall Warren's first delivery was smashed by Sachin straight to ground in the first over at Wankhede. So from that game, from that over, we were really excited about Sachin Warren rivalry in Test cricket.
True.
And in 1996, after a few months after World Cup, Sachin was playing his first game as a Test captain. Everyone was missing Shane Warne. Everyone was disappointed because Warren was not there, and that test was not. I don't think there were a lot of spectators in the crowd in the stadium, only because of Warren. Because Warren was not there, but after 1.5 year in the year 1998, we were going to have a full-fledged test series between these two legends, Sachin and Warren. And everyone has, both of them had their strategy how to face each other. Just like Sachin had prepared by doing damages with pitch and asking leg spinners to ball on that area
True.
around the wicket. And just like Sachin, Shane Warne also had made preparations by experimenting with his googlies, with his flippers, with his in the air deliveries. And I can recall, as I said just in the start of the our session, Warren had success in that first inning because Sachin was failed to read him,
Yes.
and Sachin was got out easily against Warren. And but after Sachin, how Sachin's biggest point is that he comes over his mistakes very immediately,
Yes.
just like he did in against Zimbabwe in Sharjah. Henry Olunga had dismissed Sachin in last league game just before that final. Actually, Olunga had an upper hand. Uh, Olunga had almost dominated Sachin in that game because he had dismissed Sachin twice in two deliveries, because just
Yeah.
before dismissing him on short ball, he had dismissed him neck because Sachin was neck, but Sachin was survived because that was no ball.
Well, yeah.
True.
But the way Sachin came back in final and he smashed Olunga just just like he had done with Warren. And in the next inning in Chennai Test, Sachin did exactly same thing. He came over his mistakes. He kept patience over himself. He just checked the deliveries. He just kept calm. And then after, yes, we have to win this game, and we are going to surpass that lead of 73 runs, because we were training by I think 90. We had scored 250.
We,
We had
we scored
we were trailing
257.
by
Yeah.
73 runs. So that was very tough to come over that lead, defeat, and post target for Aussies. But Sachin, the way he played against War and other bowlers, that was quite amazing. I think 155 of 200 balls, if I'm not wrong, or 195 balls. That was quite amazing knock. That gave us really challenging total to post against Aussies. And then I think their next game was in at Kochi. Sorry, after Test series, they met in Odis Pepsi Triangular Series. Kanpur game I want to mention. Sachin had hit 7 sixes because War had dismissed Sachin in that game. But after that storm, after everything was washed out, Warren dismissed Sachin, and just like in Chennai Test he had did. Sachin was deceived by Warren. Sachin came down the wicket and was out in infield. So that was the memory. And in Sharjah, as Kartik Bhai told, Warren came round the wicket in I think 21st over, and that six was quite remarkable because imagine India was chasing 272 in the final, huge pressure on Sachin, but still the way he came down the ground, he came down the wicket and hit it over long on. That was quite amazing shot. And after that, I think that was the last game between them in that year, 1998, because in at Dhaka, Warren wasn't there. We miss him there also. But I think we were quite lucky to enjoy this rivalry, especially in that year of 1998. Yes.
I'll come to you, Karthik, about that Shane Warne Sachin rivalry of '98. I think that was the defining rivalry of our generation in that time. So Your recollections about that?
Yeah, I mean, Bhushan and Sahil talked really nicely. Um, Bhushan Bhai want a small correction. That game happened in Brabant, not Wankhede. That Mumbai versus Australia game, right?
Yes,
1990.
yes,
That was so. Here's where I think the setup happened, right? One was a very big deal in 94, 95, 96, 96 to 96. He had a finger injury. He had to go through an operation and all that. So he missed that one off test match at Delhi. And there was this debate that ESPN had on a rickshaw between Ian Chappell and Ravi Shastri, where Ravi Shastri asks, who's going to win, Chappelli? And he says, of course, Australia. And Ravi Shastri says, without Wani, that's impossible. So it was a good banter. And that time I used to think, man, come on, how good can Shane Warne be? I mean, yeah, I mean, he is good, but Indians are decently. I mean, not too long ago, Vinod Kambli had hit him for 22 runs in an over in an ODI in Sharjah. So it's not like he's infallible or something. That's what I thought. But then you knew Shane Warne obviously is like let's be clear right now. Let's be honest here. Had Shane Warne been from a subcontinental country, we might not have heard that much about him. I mean, he might not have gotten that hype that he got from the English media or the commentary team from Channel 9. He was obviously a genius. He was obviously really great. But that exposure also helped in building his legend, and I thought that was happening at that time. So 1998 happens, and um, mm, it's pipped as Vaughan versus Sachin because McGrath didn't tour in '98. It was, and he was McGrath. I mean, Vaughan was the superstar, so it will be like Vaughan versus Sachin. It will be a feast for the eyes, etc., etc. Um, so what does Sachin do, right? I mean, there's these stories about he paying like spinners to bowl outside the rough and all that. Lakshman Shivaramakrishnan also bowled to him and all that, and he practiced and he got this heavier bat and all, and he practiced the slog sweep and all that. So this game happens at Brabant, and one gets plastered in that game. In 16 overs, I think he gives close to 100 odd runs, 111 or 110 or something. He gets totally plus Sachin scores his first ever double hundred in a first class game. It's surprising that he hadn't scored before that, and it's all set up that okay, Sachin making an announcement that dude, I'm coming for you. I mean, Gavin Robertson in the post-match presentation says that, or not in the press conference says that, come on, Shane Warne will not reveal all his tricks in a first-class game. Wait for the Test series, we'll see what happens. So obviously there was this tension that what is Warne gonna do, and as Bhushan Bhai, Sahil Bhai said that first innings, Mark Taylor takes. I mean, there's a huge celebration, and one was like out of over the moon taking Sachin in the first innings, and Gavaskar in the commentary is not changed still. He is out. He is out, and it's like, come on, man. And second innings happens, and the lasting memory is like the first ball that Warne goes around the wicket, and Ian Chappell is like, okay, Shane Warne has decided to go. I mean, Shane Warne around the wicket, round the legs, you know, Basit Ali, and all those England batsmen that he actually took out, taking the leg stump, bowling in the rough. So buckle up for some interesting action and all that they said. And first ball, Sachin smashes him for a six, right, or a four.
I think
He
six. It
six,
was a
right?
six.
as a
First
six.
ball, launches him for a six, and that time you knew that boy, this guy. I mean, now we are in for a treat. I mean, he is not going to stop here. And in Warren's defense, though, in '96 he had a finger injury, so he lost the flipper. After that, he could not. He tried really hard to bowl flipper on this tour, but he could not bowl that flipper. And in '98 he had a shoulder operation, I think. So he was. I would give him the benefit of doubt that he was not in his best, to be honest. But still, he was a very good bowler. But obviously, Indians just took him apart. We talk about Sachin, but Sidhu actually destroyed him in Chennai. After that, Sachin came, and Vaughan got on top of Sidhu in the first innings, and Sidhu came down the track and hit him for some sixes, and he was like redemption. He was punching the air and all. So yeah, after that, it was just one-way traffic. But Vaughan versus Sachin, where there was an underrated rivalry, was between Vaughan the batsman and Sachin the bowler. Sachin always got on top of Vaughan as a bowler. I think he hated getting out to Sachin, and in that Kochi, he takes him. I don't remember if you guys remember. He takes, I think, cotton bowl of Vaughan, and then this he does that. And
He did for Steve Wog, right?
oh yeah, that was Steve Walk.
He
Correct.
did
That
that
was
for
Steve
Steve
Walk.
Wog.
Yeah.
Because
Uh,
Steve Wog also was like his bunny. He used to just play with.
yeah. And that obviously that Kolkata test when he won had no clue about that wrong one that Sachin bowled and into 2001. So obviously Vaughan has gotten Sachin. He got Sachin in 1999 2000. But overall, Sachin obviously dominated Vaughan, and Vaughan went on to say that Sachin is the greatest batsman he has bowled to. Lara was there, but Sachin obviously Vaughan had an extra bit of respect for Sachin.
True.
Yeah, so these are all the memories that I thought Sachin and Vaughan, uh, you can never forget. They were like two legends of the game, and even that Kanpur ODI that Bhushan Bhai said, that's exhilarating innings basically.
Yeah, and just sorry to interrupt here. Just
Mhm.
wanted to Karthik brought in a very good point about Sidhu, and I really wonder like how that series would have panned if Sidhu was not opening for
Absolutely.
India.
Hmm.
Because I think he took on Shane Warne. He basically showed, and just before that, everybody talked about that Mumbai Australia game. I think Vaughan didn't bowl round the wicket in that game because
Oh
he didn't.
yes, absolutely. He didn't.
Yeah,
He didn't.
he didn't want to like reveal all his secrets, and he didn't bowl. So I think even Shane Warne has mentioned thereafter that he didn't take that beating against Australia very seriously, the Australians, because it was just a practice game and they were just trying. They didn't want to reveal everything. But in the Chennai test, I mean, even in the second innings, I think Sidhu gave a really good start,
Yeah.
and he just took on Shane Warne, and I think the pressure was
Yeah.
showing up on Warne as well,
Yeah.
because it was India had given up a lead, and then Sidhu took him on, and then Sachin came. So just imagine if it would have been like 10 for 2 and then Shane Warne comes on to bowl to Sachin. It would have
Yeah.
been a different, I think. Pressure can do really strange things. So I mean, there are a lot of factors outside those, outside Sachin and Warne's control that also like create that rivalry. But yeah, obviously Sachin handled him really well in that
True.
Chennai knock. Yeah.
Well, beautifully said there, Sahil, Karthik, Bhushan. I'll come finally couple of segments before we wrap up this episode. So, the significance. What is the significance of this Desert Storm knock for Indian cricket back then, now and now? I mean, how significant is that innings in the context of Indian cricketing history? I'll start with you, Bhushan Bhai, for this.
Uh, those saying Sachin can't perform in pressurous games, those who say Sachin failed to perform in uh, finals or etc. But those two games were really means I think they had an iconic importance in Indian history because after that, after that particular year, 1998, Sachin's emergence as an ODI player came to next level because right from 1994 we knew that Sachin can do anything. Sachin can break most of the records, and after those two knocks, I think 14th ODI 100 and 15th ODI 100. Uh, I think it was Desmond Haynes' record, 17th century.
17.
And now Sachin finished with 49 ODI 100. So three times almost Sachin scored ODI hundreds than Desmond Haynes. So that not only those two knocks, but that year 1998 was also an iconic year for the Indian cricket, as India won five ODI trophies in that entire year. I don't think any other team has managed to win so much trophies in the single year. And also, Sachin, I think, scored 435 runs in those in that trophy. That was also a record that time. I think he broke the record of, I think, Arvinder De Silva, who had scored uh, 400 or something runs in Akai Trophy last year. But after 1998, uh, after those two innings, especially, we had some negative effects also, depending totally on Sachin. Because I can recall after that inning, uh, the next game we played in 1919 World Cup in London, I think against Australia in Super Six. We had the same total. After that Dhaka game, Sachin performed there also. But next game against Aussies was in World Cup, and we had the same total of 284 or 281, and Sachin got out in the first over, I think, on duck, and then Indian batting collapsed. So we had this kind of side effects that we depended on Sachin a lot, and Sachin became one man army. No other batsman was, I think, was even capable to reach closer to Sachin. But after that 1998, 99 and 2000, 2000 के बाद तो सौरव गांगुली ने सब मतलब ये कर लिया, वो उसने सचिन को डोमिनेट करना स्टार्ट कर दिया. But I think year 1998 was the peak year for Indian team also and for Sachin also. But that dependency on Sachin hurt a lot for us, especially in late 90s.
True, true.
So
Yeah,
that
please.
and so that was the negative sign. But I think that was a milestone year in every aspect. Sachin was man of the match against Australia in almost every game, each and every game. Either it was batting or it was bowling. He didn't let any chance to dominate Aussies. Even at Dhaka, as Kartik Bhai said, Sachin got Steve Waugh cotton ball. He got Steve Waugh in Dhaka also. Steve Waugh, such an extraordinary player against spinners. He failed to read Sachin twice in that year and got cotton ball. So that Sachin versus Australia in the year 1998, and those two knocks were peak of that rivalry, Sachin versus Australia. And I think even if we managed, if somehow we kept those knocks out of our mind, Desert Storm and Sharjah final, Aussies were not, Aussies could never keep those two knocks out of their history. Yes.
Absolutely. I'll come to you, Karthik. How significant this Desert Storm innings, was for Indian cricket back in that day and 24 years later? I mean, what place does it have in India's cricketing annals?
See, before Desert Storm, right? There's obviously always a generation of a special moment for that everyone would cherish in their prime or childhood or whatever time that they're actually watching the game. I feel that Kapil Dev's 175 is one of those innings, but Desert Storm is like a crown jewel. It's like a Botham Headingley sort of. Every team has some special memories. It's like a Botham Headingley, or like when it comes to Australia, You have probably Alan Border's hundreds, or I can't recall anything like Shane Warne's hat trick. Every team has a special crowning jewel that they can think of when you talk about West Indies, the Ambrose 7 for 1 or Lara 3,675 or whatever. Uh, I think this particular innings is India's crowning jewel, was India's crowning jewel, and it obviously still is. But at that time, this innings uh, gave way to something which is like it just opened the floodgates. Like India was obviously brimming, a brimming industry for media and for cricket and all that. But I thought that one with the Sachin as a brand, right? It just made his brand ginormous after these two innings. It was already big, but after this, Sachin was like untouchable in India, and that in a long term perspective, I thought that has helped India really grow and see what India is today. Because of the brand that Sachin got after these innings. It's not just these two innings, but the impact of these two innings, like the great theater that it produced. Um, like Mark Mascarenas was the head of Voltel, right? He obviously Sachin had a big fat deal with him, and he basically ensured that Sachin was the brand that we all talk about. Sachin won an Opel Astra as a part of his 98 man of the series, man of the match, man of the series. I remember thinking like who'd be the man of the series, and Sachin was like, it was like a windfall for him in the finals on his birthday. So all that stuck in public memory. And till that time, I don't know if you guys remember that Sharjah matches weren't, I mean, India's matches used to be shown on Doordarshan, but Sharjah matches were on Star Sports or Prime Sports or whatever. But then this 2001 2000 India was a Zimbabwe series, right? Channel 9 came into India, and they had a tie-up with DD Sports, and then we had that Doordarshan telecast for all the India matches, and the commentary team was really professional. You had Tony Gregory and Chappell, so all that actually got, all the money started coming in, all the finance started getting pumped in. And ask any cricketer after that generation, right? Ask any cricketer, and everybody says my hero is Sachin. Forget that generation. I remember an NDTV interview of Rahul Dravid in 1996 when he got selected for Indian team in Sharjah, and he said Sachin is my hero. So you ask any cricketer down the lane, and they'll say that how big an impact those innings. Like you start dreaming that, oh man, one day I'd probably play for India with like this. I know these days with all the fandom and all that happens, the fan wars happen, and Sachin didn't do anything. These things are not definable. These things are not quantifiable. There is stats, there are things, but there are these moments that you can't just quantify, saying that what was the impact. India didn't win that game, Desert Storm. It's not like that. You cannot quantify this in a long term perspective. It just changed the landscape of India, basically.
You beautifully summed up there, Karthik. I'll come to you for this one, Sahil. Your
Yeah. So, uh, I mean, what does it mean to Indian cricket? I mean, let's look back at like Sharjah's India's iconic moments, right? At Sharjah, I mean, India has had some like heartbreaks at Sharjah, like Javed Miadad 6, and then yes, India had that 125 where they got Pakistan out for 87, but still, India weren't uh, the best of sides in the 90s. Even in the 80s, they did win the World Cup and the World Championship series, but Pakistan had a better team, and even most of those games were like fans were really excited to watch them in Sharjah. So Sharjah had that extra bit of like excitement for every fan, especially in the subcontinent. Now, I'm again, I would like to point this out that I'm speaking in hindsight, but it's always brought upon, right? This point that Sachin didn't win enough matches for India.
true.
And I mean, I will never believe that, because as we know, like there are 11 players in a team. I mean, I'm stating the obvious, but like there are so many things that happen that you just cannot expect one man to win you games, right? And even in these games, I can just mention the point. I think I can mention people who played a kind of a important role, right? Like Mongia's innings in the final, right? Very underrated innings. Even that 99 Chennai test match, I think Mongia, I mean, yes, it was Sachin, but Mongia stood his ground. He batted with Sachin. And to bat against the likes of Saklane, Wasim, Wakar, I mean, Mongia deserves a lot of credit for that. So I will never believe this thought that Sachin didn't win enough matches. But yes, to build that narrative, to build the legend of Sachin, I think 98 is maybe what the the typical example, right? If you want one innings where you want to say somebody is saying Sachin didn't win you enough matches, you tell him 98. Have you seen Desert Storm? Right? That's I mean that would be my answer. There are many other innings, but that really signifies or that typifies what Sachin was in the 90s. Playing a
True.
lonely hand, there is no support for him from the other side. I mean, for whatever reasons, the players were not supporting him during his captaincy and all. But here was a man who was fighting a lone battle.
Absolutely.
And and just one more point that I would like to add is that I mean, it's again like it. Some people call it psychobabble, but it changed the way people talked about Sachin, right?
True.
After that 98 innings, like because to win that final against Australia from a position where India were not even going to qualify, I mean, that's a fairy tale, right? I mean, even a very talented batsman, he's like spoken highly of by everybody, as Kartik mentioned that everybody looked upon him. And I was watching this interview of Rahul Dravid and he says that when he was playing a under 15 game, he was watching Sachin and he was like carrying drinks. He was not even in his Karnataka under 15 side, and he was watching Sachin at that time. And he told himself, and I think that's videos there on YouTube,
Yes.
where he says that I have to like, come on, guy. And he says this to himself, Dravid. Just imagine Dravid saying this to himself that if you have to play cricket for India, I think you have to go a long way. And because he
True.
watched Sachin bat, so Sachin was big even in '98. I mean, I don't think he needed this Desert Storm, but yeah, it kind of built a legend around him. This Desert Storm.
True. And we've got a very surprise late entrant in cricket Twitter's wittiest and funniest man ever, Dr. Manjunath, aka the Falling Sweep. And good to have you on board, Manju sir. So we'll take your point on this. This how significant the Desert Storm innings was for Indian cricket then and now in since 24 years have gone by.
Yeah, so mainly, thank you for having me. I just tuned in to have an exclusive preview of the show, but then I ended up being a participant. So thanks, Abhinav. So nice to see Fahil and Sahil and everyone else. Okay, so thanks for having me. So mainly, what I felt was, that the match where we had to qualify for the final, so we needed some 94 of 15 overs.
Yes.
So that we almost won it, but then after Sachin got out, we bottled that chase. So 25 years later, like what that chase signifies to us is that nowadays, if a similar situation is going to happen, we won't bottle it. We have people at 6 and 7 who will carry us through. So that is how our cricket has evolved. So definitely, it's one of the evolutionary points in our ODI approach. So like, yeah, still we have these people, the top three scoring 68%, and we have a circumspect approach. Man, I think it's about to change. So I think they can, look to Desert Storm for that inspiration.
True, absolutely. So now, final segment of the show. Very short lists. I want your favorite Sachin ODI knocks since then. We'll let's not mention the obvious one being the 98 of Sharjah, 98 at Centurion against Pakistan, or the Chennai heartbreaker revived in Hyderabad at the 175. So I'll come to you for this, Manju sir. your top three Sachin ODI knocks ever since the Desert Storm innings.
Yeah, so the mine is like a very sad. One of the sad knocks was the '96 semi-final. So
Mm-hmm.
like over there, he was running away with the game, and then like one bald guy comes, bowls around the leg stump, and gets him out. And it's very heartbreaking. And then again, he keeps on bowling outside the leg stump, and Kaluvitharna jumps, and we just go down in a heap, calmly cries. But if someone had stayed with them, the story would have been different. And apart from that, I really enjoyed his 200 not out in Gwalior. So there, actually, the last few overs, how Dhoni helps him to get there eventually, that is also quite special. And then the 175 in a losing cause, now that is like one of the very high points in his like mid 30s to play such one knock and carry the chase alone. So these are a few things like you need not always win the game, but these knocks definitely they are memorable. So
Sahil, I'll come to you. Your top three favorite Sachin knocks ever since the Desert Storm ended, and we are taking out those two obvious knocks because everybody will have a common. It'll become common for everyone then.
Uh, yeah. So first one that I would, I mean, I'm just trying to think beyond the centuries, because I mean everybody remembers the centuries and all. So there's one knock he played at Lahore against Pakistan in 2006,
Yes.
where he scored that 95, and I think like when Sachin plays, and it's very unlikely that somebody takes away the limelight, but I think it was all about Dhoni in the end. And even Parvez Musharraf was there, and he said that if you were to take my advice, please don't cut your hair. I think he said this to
Yes.
Dhoni. But I vividly remember that match, watching in Delhi, India struggling, chasing that mammoth target, and Mohammad Asif and Umar Gul were bowling. I think
Yes.
that's one of the highest quality spells that I have ever seen in my life, uh, where Asif and Gul were just doing great things with the ball, and Dravid and Sachin, probably arguably the greatest batters of that generation, were playing, and they were struggling, really struggling against those two bowlers. But they survived. They played that spell, and eventually Sachin also like increased his strike rate. Dravid got out, then Yuvraj came in, and then Dhoni finished off in style. But that's one innings that I always like to remember. Another one is again a Sachin, not a very remembered innings, but that was, I think, he scored 47 or 49 in Vadodara against Australia in
Yes.
2007,
Yes.
where India got out for under 150.
Yes.
And I remember Dhoni in the post-match saying that Sachin was batting on a different wicket and the other batsmen were batting on a different pitch. Unless and I watched that innings and I was really thinking that and it was a really difficult pitch to bat at that when India played in the first innings. So that's one innings. And I would just again go back to the 96 World Cup semi-final innings. That's like one of my favorite innings as well. The one and I know it came before 98, so it's not since those Desert Storm, but I think that's one of my special favorite innings in the semi-final, because again Sachin Wood was looked like that he was batting on a different wicket that day, and the others looked really mediocre, and we all know what happened after that. Sachin got out, and that was a freakish dismissal. It was not a great like a filthy ball, I would say, and he just got out. So that would be like, I mean, top of my mind, three favorite Sachin knocks.
Kartik, I'll come to you. Your top three favorite Sachin knocks since the Desert Storm innings.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't want to say 175. You've already banned that, but anyway, it wouldn't have made my list. So, uh, 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 what my top favorite knock is 140 not out at Bristol after his dad passed away. I thought that it was a very, very important knock. I can't imagine what he must have went through. I mean, he didn't play the game at Chesterley Street, was Zimbabwe, and he had to fly. And imagine from England to India and back to England within a span of 2 3 days. He comes back and he walks into this game. I think he bats at number 4 in that game, and
Yeah.
I remember very clearly that Bob Willis was in commentary, and he said that a couple of pieces of his commentary were There is no exaggeration that we are seeing the greatest batsman ever to play the game. And he also says that the placement is beyond belief, because I remember Sachin was not hitting aerial shots. He was placing the balls at the end to boundaries and all that. So he said that placement is beyond belief. This is basically, you can't. You should be privileged to see such an innings. Don't discount it as Kenya. It's a very high class innings. I thought that it takes a lot of character to score something like that. I mean, coming back and then performing in a thing, in a tournament. In the same tournament, Sachin scores a brilliant, I thought, chancy, but 45 against Pakistan. I thought that he was looking so dangerous in that innings, right? I mean, I thought that this is gonna be his day, man. And Wasim Akram very smartly places Saklin Mushtaq between long off and mid off. It's right in the middle, and the ball straight goes straight to him. That's one of my favorite knocks actually of Sachin. I thought that the guy would have gone and hit some huge runs. Other than that, there are so many other knocks. One special knock would be the Commonwealth Game final, where the two knocks there, 191 and another century that he scores finally. But the myth he busts about Sachin and finals and the way, etc., etc. I mean, he's played so long that people forget about what he has done in the past, but he played beautifully in those two knocks. So I'd choose these 2-3 knocks that I just told you. The 140 not out, the 45, and the century in the Commonwealth Games in 2000. Commonwealth Games finals into. Did I say Commonwealth? Sorry, Commonwealth
Commonwealth
And
Bank.
the bank.
Bank series. Yeah,
Bank.
yeah.
And
So
just before, yeah, sorry to interrupt. And there's just one more. I mean, I just remember that knock, and like because I was thinking of 40s and 50s. There's this tri-series final where again he got out for 45 because Kartik mentioned 45
uh-huh.
against Australia in at Eden Gardens, where India was chasing 236 in
Yes,
2004.
the 2003 TVS Cup.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I remember like we were so excited that India might win this final, and then India just collapsed once Sachin got out. Yeah, India were like 90 for 2 or something when he was playing. Yeah, just wanted to brought that in.
With the most innocuous Australian bowling attack ever that could have that could have come and won a tri-series final. Yeah, but great, Karthik, you wanted to add on.
No, actually, since you have said after 98, but before 98 also, there was this famous innings at Port of Spain in 97. He hits a
Yes.
44. It's a very, very difficult wicket, as one of his best innings, I thought. Obviously, there are a lot of innings, the 90 versus Australia and the World Cup in Mumbai. But since exclusively you're talking about after 98 and banned those two innings at Centurion and Hyderabad. Obviously, there are a lot of other innings as well, but these three were my favorite. Yeah.
Bhushan bhai, I'll come to you to cap off this episode. I think we've had a bit of an outage on Bhushan bhai's part. I think the connection issues. I'll give you my top three favorites. I remember this. We are not even a 40, a 38 or 37 in against Australia in the ICC knockout trophy match at quarterfinal against at Nairobi. I think
Yeah.
that was on the back of that really horrendous tour of Australia and what was about to break out later. The match fixing scandal that was about to break out, and a new wave of Indian cricketers had come in Yuvraj and Zahir. In Yuvraj and Zahir making their debuts for India in that series. Sachin stepping down the track and hitting Glenn McGrath over his head for six, and sledging him back for good for good measure as well. I think that I remember ever since I watched that game. Then I remember this one we were talking about the TVS Cup. TVS Cup. I remember his 100 at Gwalior against Australia, where he
Yep.
paired up with
139.
VVS Lakshman.
139.
Yeah, the 130 he got with partnering up with VVS Lakshman in that TVS Cup group stage game. That is, and India, and he picked up a wicket as well in that game, which, and it was a close game despite India getting, I think, over 270. India just about managed to win that game. So I remember those two, and then I remember that the 44 that he got against Australia at Melbourne in the 2008 Commonwealth Bank series group stage game, especially that passage of play between Sachin and Brett,
Yeah,
where he just I mean, those two straight drives on the third and the fifth ball of that over. I mean, uh, quite.
And Richie Beno says that if you have got a, please get that on your videotape.
Yes,
Yeah.
please get it on your videotape. I mean, those two knocks. I think those three knocks, I think, will be my favorite, and I think it's because Australia and all these three knocks have come against the most dominant team of the time, which was Australia. So I will put them. And Bhushan Bhai is come back. Bhushan Bhai, I'll cap off with you. Your three favorite Sachin knocks ODI innings ever since the 98 Desert Storm, and we are not taking any references of the 98 against Pakistan at Centurion and the 175 because that would then become a common list. So your three favorite Sachin knocks ever since the Desert Storm innings.
अभिनव भाई, आपने तो दो ऑप्शंस पहले ही निकाल लिए, लाइफलाइन आपने निकाल लिए तो no problem. Sachin had given us lot of options. I would go with his only century in ODI that came in middle order. That came against England in 2002, not West Trophy. I think that game was washed out, but the way Sachin settled that, Sachin generated that inning. I think we
Yes.
posted 286 in that inning, and
Yes.
at one stage we were, I think, 53 for 3 at one stage. But the way he and Dravid generated the inning and made this stand of, I think, 164, if I'm not wrong. And Sachin, that was Sachin's only ODI 100 in England in 2002. And that was also his only 100 that came in middle order. So that was a fantastic knock. And especially that six, he to Paul Collingwood at that flick shot for the six. And then
Yes.
Yuvraj had compiled the runs. I think he scored
40 of 90.
yes, Kartik bhai.
Sorry, Bhushan bhai, a small correction. I mean that 140 at okay, this is also at Bristol, I think. This century that you're talking about.
No, it's Chester Street, Durham.
Bristol,
Yes.
But
Bristol was
he's-
against Sri Lanka. Like he again scored.
Yes, sorry, that 140 also came in middle order. Yes,
Yeah.
sorry. Thanks,
and also
Kartik bhai,
there's
for
one
the
more.
correction. Yes.
And I think that Kenya innings is also at number 4.
Yeah, that's
And I
Yes,
think
yes,
he
yes.
also scored another 100 against West Indies in Vadodara in 2007, batting
Yes,
at 4.
final over mein he got a 6 to
Yeah.
get to his 100.
What about
Yes.
Bermuda in 2007 World Cup? Was that
That
open?
was
No,
a
he got a 50.
57
Oh,
of 26
yeah.
balls.
That was just a 50.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Then PBI
But
2003. Yeah.
I think that was his only ODI 100 in England.
Against
No,
England.
he got
Against
2 innings.
England.
Yeah,
against
England. Yes.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Yes. And after that, Easter Trophy, actually, I have a very poor memory after 2003. In 2008, we chased in Tri Series in Australia, VB Series final. I
Yeah.
think that was his first ODI 100 in Australia.
Yes.
So these two knocks are my favorite. And after that, Bristol knock at in 1999 World Cup, because that knock was so we needed that knock so desperately to be played, because we had lost against South Africa, against Zimbabwe. That Zimbabwe loss was so irritating because that loss changed the equations of entire World Cup. that
True.
Yeah,
single loss against
Completely,
Zimbabwe, that was a major setback for us, because if we had won that game and Zimbabwe had lost that game, in fact, if we had won that game, we would have had 2 points more
points.
in Super Six final,
Yeah,
Super Six stage, but we couldn't get those
yeah,
2 points. But after that, we won 3 games on row, and against Pakistan also. But
yeah,
that loss against Zimbabwe made the difference.
correct.
And the way Sachin came back after that grief, that biggest grief in his life, after losing his father, everyone was asking, "Oh no, Sachin, no party, no Sachin, no win." So everyone was so surprised that Sachin came back, and yes, he has come back only to score 100
Right.
and gave India their first point in that World Cup.
True.
So that was also a memorable knock, though it came against the weaker side, Kenya. Karthik bhai, आपने भी you also mentioned that knock earlier. There was a bit memory in that knock. Sachin had flicked the ball for the six almost,
Yeah.
and I think there was a fielder who almost took the catch
Okay.
and saved 5 runs.
Oh,
If
okay.
if
Yeah.
those 5 runs were scored, that would have been Sachin's highest score in ODI.
Right,
But
right.
that was a brilliant save
Yeah,
by that fielder.
yeah,
I will have to check in on YouTube who was that fielder. But
yeah.
that was also a great knock, and Sachin finished that inning with six
Yeah,
on the last ball.
correct, correct. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
one quick point I want to add. I forgot. I
Mm.
should have mentioned this. Sorry. That I will take off one of my best innings and add Sachin's 99 at Bristol in 2007 as one of
Yes.
my favorite knocks, because
Peter Hartley.
I was there on the ground watching that innings. I was there
Oh wow.
watching that game, and I had this brand new Nikon digital camera recording that entire last moments and saying, "Can't believe the first game I'm watching in the ground and Sachin hits 100, and he gets out." And it was a heartbreak. And there was this. I was surrounded by these English people, and they were singing this song. That where's your Sachin gone? Where's your Sachin gone? When he actually gets out, and it was all banterous completely. And the game we won, I remember Sachin not coming to the presentation at the end. We were like very close to the presentation and all that, but I was thinking that I'll see Sachin in flesh and blood so close, but saw Dravid, but didn't see Sachin. It was a great game actually.
He got 399 in like 2007, right?
Yes.
Yeah, one against
And
390.
South
is
Africa.
is there any story behind this pencil thin French beard which they sported in the 2002 season? Both Sachin and Kumble. Was it a team
Yeah.
thing or?
Yeah, he was looking so smart in that, right? He was looking like dapper in that French beard. I don't know. I mean, should be some story, I guess.
Has to be. I mean, we'll have to ask some of our cricket historians to probably dig up a story regarding to that. But I think that probably brings an end to what has been an outstanding episode, recapping a lot of nostalgia, talking about Desert Storms as Sachin. I think Sachin makes us do that. I mean, a planned 40-45 minute episode has gone close to 2 hours, all thanks to the fact that we love Sachin. We all are huge fans of Sachin. Thank you so much to Dr. Manjunath for joining in and making us a starry cameo right at the end. Just like MS Dhoni, capping it off with a six right towards the end. And to Bhushan Bhai, Kartik and Sahil, who just brought in so many personal memories into this episode. I think there cannot be a greater celebration of 90s nostalgia than what we've had here today. So I think we will. I think, and yes, I think there's this suggestion from Karthik himself that's saying that we have to discuss a lot of Sachin's under 50 scores.
Yeah.
We'll probably have a separate
And
episode.
also a very humble suggestion, like if someone could help him rewrite his autobiography also,
Oh,
it would be very, very useful.
Somebody
Okay, so that,
called
yeah.
BPRIA.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think yes. None of us should. I mean, there should not be a YPU
Yeah,
inserted somewhere in that
right.
in that autobiography, planned
No, there is
autobiography. But
a there is LPU actually, but we are not sponsored by it, so we won't promote them. Yeah.
Oh,
on
good
that
one, bye. Good one.
on
Bhushan bhai.
that really
Lovely,
witty note,
Bhushan bhai, lovely.
on that really beautiful witty note, we cap off today's episode. So thank you so much to Dr. Manjunath for joining in at a late hour and contributing such a lot to the discussion, especially with his wit, and to Kartik, Sahil, and to Bhushan Bhai. We've had people sit in this panel. We've had people from various parts of the world. Kartik is based out of St. Louis, USA. Sahil is currently in Melbourne, and then we've got Bhushan Bhai and all of us here based out of various cities in India. So it's been an episode which has spanned continents in a way. So thank you so much, everyone. Please do follow all of them on their Twitter, all on their social media platforms. Manju sir keeps churning out some one witty tweet after the other. So please follow him. Please follow Sahil. Probably his wit is no less superior to Manju sir. I mean, with his movie references that he keeps inserting. Sahil, Bhushan, keep following them on Twitter. Hit the like and subscribe button on this on the YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter as well. The links will be in the description below. Thank you so much, guys. It's been quite a stunning episode of nostalgia recapping, and we will be back with another episode to recap more nostalgia and to cover more cricket in the present day generation. So thank you so much, gentlemen. It's been an honor to have you all.
Thank you, Abhinav.